Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Driven Wyld. Today we are talking about occupational license / privilege tax. So one of my subscribers commented on one of my videos asking for a video on this topic. And while I don't normally take requests from my comments section, I usually take them from my email. I never really heard of this, so I wanted to go into a deeper dive on this concept. So in this video, we are talking about everything you must know about the occupational license and privilege tax, where and when this tax will apply to you, and everything in between. But before we do that, let's go over a quick disclaimer. The content of this video does not contain, is never intended to be, legal, business, financial, tax, or health advice of any kind. This video is for entertainment purposes only. It is advised that you conduct your own research and consult qualified professionals before applying anything you find online. I also want to be clear that everything that we're going to be going over in this video is very market dependent, and what applies to me in my market may not apply to you. And of course, thank you to GigTax for verifying this information and making this video possible. There's another tax you should cover, the occupational license tax or occupational privilege tax. Apparently, there are at least 15 states that allow such taxes. So I did some digging on this, and it turns out there are a bunch of states that have their own laws on this. And what is crazy is the lack of uniformity on this. What is privilege tax? The privilege tax definition can vary depending on your state and your industry. For example, some businesses may have to pay privilege tax to conduct and operate in some states. However, in other areas like Arizona, privilege tax works similarly to sales tax. Types of privilege tax. Privilege tax can vary depending on what state you do business in. Professional privilege tax is in Alabama, Connecticut, Delaware, Montana, North Carolina, and Tennessee, and they levy the professional privilege tax on certain licensed professionals. This tax is in addition to other license fees. Some examples of professions you may need to pay privilege tax include attorneys, physicians, agents, and lobbyists. Keep in mind, the above is not an inclusive list and it can change. Then there's the occupational privilege tax in Colorado, and has occupational privilege tax that is essentially a head tax. Most workers within the jurisdiction must pay the tax, and the tax may be imposed on certain businesses operating in certain jurisdictions. This only applies to certain cities in Colorado, such as Aurora, Denver, Glendale, Greenwood Village, and Sheridan. For employees, the tax is based on the city where work or services are performed, not the business location where the employee lives. That's right, businesses and employees may be required to pay the Colorado OPT, depending on jurisdiction. Corporate income and privilege tax, all states except South Dakota and Wyoming have some kind of combination of corporate and privilege taxes. General business license, Alabama, Alaska, Delaware, Hawaii, Maine, Maryland, Nevada, and Tennessee all require a general business license. The gross receipts tax in Los Angeles, San Francisco, Philadelphia, and Portland all have receipts taxes. In Arizona, there is a transactional privilege tax where you are required a TPT license. This tax works very similar to sales tax for sellers, and the TPT allows certain purchases and sellers are responsible for paying it instead of the customer. Most businesses in Arizona need to pay transaction privilege tax, and again, only vendors are responsible for paying for it, not the customers. Sales to certain customers, such as government agencies or members of a recognized tribe, may be exempt from Arizona TPT. The general excise tax in Hawaii requires you to get a GET license. The New Mexico business tax identification number requires businesses that make taxable sales of tangible personal property to register for a gross receipts tax or GRT. Kentucky has their occupational license tax. Franchise tax is in Alabama, Arkansas, California, Delaware, Georgia, Illinois, Louisiana, Mississippi, New York, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Tennessee, and Texas have that certain business owners have to pay to conduct business in the state. However, California's franchise and privilege tax is only applied in certain situations. Each of them have their own rules and regulations, so make sure you do your research on what is required and consult with a qualified tax professional, Because you may not need this as a gig worker, but if you develop an exit strategy, this is some important information. Who needs to pay it? Certain entities like nonprofits are exempt from franchise taxes. However, many businesses, including corporations and LLCs, have to pay it if the state imposes it. They are not state taxes or really county taxes, but counties do have such a tax. Metro revenue commissions and towns in countries can impose their own taxes on you if you work there or they think you worked there. Well, some aren't, some aren't, and it is really no surprise on me that a government can pull shady things. So again, this is where you have to do your research on what your market demands. That said, in a lot of cases, taxes can be imposed on them if the industry requires it. What is the rate for this tax? Could be anywhere from 2.2 to 3%, which is significantly higher than any local tax I have ever paid as a W-2 employee. Well, depending on where you are and what you do, that could end up on employees as well, as we've spoken about. And what makes it more painful for employees is the fact that they can't write off their expenses before paying their taxes like a gig worker can, or really any business. Either way, I would do research on this in your area, as well as look into the most current and accurate information based on where you are, or expanding into, so you can maximize your income earning and saving opportunities. Also, this tax is completely divorced from the federal income tax reporting system, which makes it even more complicated. Bad news, I think these types of taxes will spread as states continue to reduce or eliminate state income taxes. I don't know about federal levels here, but I will say this, some places are even fighting to have these taxes removed from their state. Tennessee already has an income tax-free state and is looking to remove the professional privilege tax entirely. I think this is more about politics than simply the taxes, though. Also, I would like to remind everybody that this is not a political channel. I am not making this video for the purposes of politics. My goal is to provide information based on the insight and tax perspective, as well as the business perspective. Please don't cancel me. The good news is LLCs are exempt, at least where I'm from, so I might have to look into the cost of setting one up and consider it as an option. Regardless of that being true or not, I would recommend consulting a qualified tax professional to assist you in making sure you are staying IRS compliant on both a state and federal tax level, especially on topics like this, because of how specific the situation would be to each individual. That said, it is vital that you work with the right professional so you don't get overcharged for having as many 1099s as you do as a gig worker or any tax documents as someone in business for themselves. That's where GigTax will be here to help. As somebody who ventured into self-employment via food delivery apps, the income is promising. That said, you are faced with challenges in navigating taxes as you are a self-employed person and transforming your gig into a sustainable business. GigTax was founded by Joseph Mayo, a seasoned gig worker with over 7,000 deliveries across 7 platforms since 2020, and they understand the challenges of freelancers, rideshare drivers, couriers, online sellers, and gig workers of all kinds. Their #1 tax preparation service is designed to help you maximize your savings and save you time, energy, and money. Enjoy exclusive discounts on tax prep services, as well as a range of additional benefits such as electronic filing, strategy sessions, year-round direct access to tax pros and financial partners, the client app and portal, the tax planning services, quarterly tax reviews, and all absolutely free and incredibly valued benefits when filing with GigTax. Book your free strategy session today using the link in the description, GigTax service /Driven Wyld, and enter the code WYLD in all lowercase letters to access your special offering. Let GigTax simplify, educate, and support you on your tax journey, whether you are a gig worker making some extra money or becoming a successful entrepreneur leading an incredible lifestyle. Visit GigTax using the link in the description below and get started with saving the money you make and making even more along the way. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.